gentlemen, put your hands together as I invite our chief guest for the afternoon, Chairman and Managing Director, Reliance Industries, Mr. Mukesh Ambani.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you think about Mukesh Ambani, think big. Really, really big. And if you want to know how big he is, here are some facts. He is Chairman and Managing Director of Reliance Industries, India's largest private sector enterprise, with revenues of over 3 lakh crores or $45 billion. He hates being called India's richest man, but the fact is, he is. His personal net worth is now close to $26 billion. He single-handedly created the world's largest petroleum refinery complex at Jamnagar and made it the refining hub of the world. He also helped discover India's largest ever natural gas field, the KGD6 as it is called. And now with over 2,000 stores across the country, he is the owner of the largest retail chain in India. Then last September, Mukesh became what this conclave is all about, the great disruptor, by taking the biggest gamble that Indian telecom industry has seen in recent years. He has invested over rupees 1.2 lakh crore, and I'm told that investment is even growing as we speak, in Reliance Jio. Jio has made phone calls forever free and is selling data packages at fifth the prevailing market prices, not to mention free video, music, and content packages being given along with it. In this short period of time, Jio has touched close to 100 million subscribers, Mukesh, or even larger than that. And that's just 5 months, and it's now almost a third of the market leader, Airtel. It has all the competitors scrambling to fight back. And there's even talk of the merger between the number 2 and 3 just to take on Jio. Mukesh, since you're a movie buff, if Jio means live, what is your favorite movie? I'm going to take a guess. It must be the Bond film, Live and Let Die. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to invite Mukesh Ambani to deliver the keynote address of the India Today Conclave on how technology will change India. Please give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you, Raj, for that warm introduction. The movie would be Live and Be Alive. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm good afternoon to each and every one of you. Arun, India today is great, but India tomorrow will be fantastic. Thanks for the invitation, and it's a privilege and honor to be here at the 16th India Today Conclave. All the more because for the first time, it is being held in Mumbai, the commercial capital of India, and the city that I proudly call home. So welcome to our home. Dear friends, this is the third time that I'm speaking at the conclave. When I first spoke in 2004, it was on whether India can be a G5 nation. I was absolutely certain then that India will be amongst the largest economies in the world, faster than what most people realized. Just 12 years later today, India is the 5th largest economy, and we are the fastest growing economy in the world. The day is not far when we will be among the top 3 economies of the world. In 2008, I spoke on the theme of India and global business leadership. Today, India is acknowledged as a growing global leader in business. Indian businesses, as well as business leaders, have made and continue to make a name for themselves on the world stage. Dear friends, today I want to speak about how technology will change, not just change, but transform India. Technology has driven human civilization's progress over hundreds of years. What is technology? It is nothing but tools and techniques that humans invent using scientific knowledge that allows us to do things better and, in many cases, to do better things. Technology enables productivity, higher value creation, and faster economic growth, all of which lead to prosperity and empowerment for society as a whole. Each technological revolution completely rewrites the rules of the game. It creates opportunities for early adopters of that technology to leapfrog into positions of global leadership, power, and influence. The first industrial revolution used coal and steam power to mechanize physical activity. It began towards the end of the 18th century in England and lasted for over 100 years. This shifted the economic power from China and India to Europe. The second industrial revolution used electricity and oil to mechanize and mobilize industrial processes for mass production and distribution. It started towards the end of the 19th century and prevailed for roughly another 100 years. And this shifted the center of wealth to the US from Europe. The third industrial revolution that began roughly in the 70s used electronics and information technology to increase productivity, automation, and greater customization. The US was the key beneficiary of this, followed by Japan. Among the developing nations, China benefited to emerge as the manufacturer for the world. Through all these revolutions, India remained on the fringes, particularly in infrastructure and manufacturing. We lost out on multiple advancement opportunities. Today, the world is at the beginning of the fourth industrial revolution. This is the convergence of the physical, digital, and biological sciences that will enable humanity to reimagine, reinvent, and re-engineer all aspects of life and living on this planet. Mobile internet, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, robotics, nanotechnology, and genomics are the foundational technologies of this revolution. Billions of people and sensors generate a tsunami of real-time data that can be processed by powerful algorithms and software in the cloud to generate magical user experiences, solve critical societal problems, and new avenues of value creation. When you put the power of information, computing, connectivity, and machine learning together, the price performance changes drastically and disrupts everything. This drives exponential growth and re-engineers life. In the next 20 years, as a human civilization, we will use exponential technologies to collectively achieve more than what we have achieved in the last 300 years. We are at the dawn of a new era for humanity, and this is the opportunity that India must seize. By the way, let me explain what I mean by exponential. All of us are used to a linear world, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in a linear world, If you take 30 steps, you will travel 30 meters. But in an exponential world, which is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, if you take 30 steps, you will travel 1 billion meters, which is more than 2.5 times the distance to the moon. So the world is changing at an accelerating pace. Today will be the slowest day in your life because tomorrow the world will be faster than today. Friends, the amazing thing about technology is that it is a great leveler. It recognizes no caste, no creed or religion. It provides equal access to all without prejudice or judgment. This is the basis of my firm conviction that India can not only participate in this fourth industrial revolution, but has the opportunity to be a leader. And I have 5 reasons for this belief. The first reason, India is a very young nation with 63% of its population under the age of 35. And our youth adapt to technology easily. I have seen this firsthand in our Jio business. In just 170 days since the launch of Jio, more than 100 million customers have signed up for Jio's LTE broadband services. This has been the fastest adoption of any technology service anywhere in the world, faster than Facebook, WhatsApp, and Skype. More importantly, these 100 million Jio users consume more data than the 200 million users in the US and 450 million users in China. And as a result, ladies and gentlemen, India has become the #1 mobile data consuming nation in just 170 days. This is exponential growth. What seemed impossible is possible. I have no doubt that from our global rankings of 154th in the world in mobile broadband penetration in 2014, India will be among the top 3 by 2019. This is a testament to the power of Indian youth. My second reason, India's historical lack of digital and technology infrastructure is actually a boon in disguise. Not having any legacy technology base means we can skip multiple generations of technologies and directly embrace the next generation. With one fell swoop, we can get ahead of the most advanced nations in the world. In fact, we can adopt these technologies faster since we have nothing to replace and nothing to upgrade. What is perceived as a liability is in reality an asset. Again, as an example, Jio has deployed an all-IP network that is on par with, and in many cases ahead of, even the most developed nations in the world. This network is upgradable to 5G and beyond seamlessly. So starting with a clean slate, we now have the opportunity to reinvent in India all sectors of our economy, whether it is education, healthcare, commerce, agriculture, or financial services. My third reason, as a nation, India is well on its way to connecting all its citizens to the global internet. We at Jio have had the privilege of contributing to the creation of this critical infrastructure. By the end of 2017, Jio's network will be present in nearly all cities, towns, and villages of India and cover 99% of our country's population. We have the digital circulatory system in place to carry data, the digital oxygen, to each and every citizen, even in the remotest village. Our youth has the gene pool and the entrepreneurial energy. And with a bit of upskilling, mentoring, and policy support, They will make India a nation of 1 million startups. We have the physical and digital infrastructure and the human capabilities in place. My fourth reason, India is a huge and open market. Unlike some other large economies that are busy building walls, India is fortunate to have the leadership that believes in connecting our nation to the world. Today, India is amongst the most attractive destinations for global talent, technology, and business. At Jio, we work with almost all leading technology companies and we employ thousands of expats. Without exception, they state the work they are doing in India as being the most exciting and impactful globally. I believe that some of the most difficult and unsolved problems of humanity will be solved right here in our country, India. This is what I mean by leadership in this new age. And fifth and most importantly, we have the political vision, a leadership, determination, and the ability to make India a technology leader. Our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, has eloquently described this commitment in his Digital India vision, which talks about digital highways, connected Indians, e-governance, empowered citizens, digital services, e-education, e-healthcare, digitally linking Indian farmers to global markets, financial inclusion, and India as a source of the next big idea. The 9 pillars of the Digital India has created a cutting-edge operating system, a digital operating system for our nation. On the strength of this operating system, I have no doubt that India will propel itself to a new level of performance and global competitiveness. Friends, collectively, these 5 factors will enable India to be a leader in this new age. I think that the 4th industrial revolution is the first human-centric technology revolution. It is a destiny changer for the human race. We are only at the beginning of it. I believe that India is well positioned to combine its demographic, civilizational, and entrepreneurial strengths to seize this opportunity and create a bright and prosperous future for our nation. However, the future is a child of our present actions. For India's future to be bright, we must quickly overcome today's problems. Let me talk about a few of these. First, job creation. More than 1 million of our youth enter the workforce every month. We need to generate about 15 million new jobs every year. India has only about 30 million jobs in the organized sector. However, the job creating potential of the organized sector is limited. The unorganized sector provides 440 million earning opportunities. 70% of the job growth during 2005-12 came from small and medium enterprises. Imagine how much more muscle they can provide to India's economy and social progress if they are made more productive and profitable. And technology has a big role to play in this. Through our Jio initiative, we have created 90,000 direct jobs across India. But more importantly, we have created 50 lakh sustainable jobs through the larger Jio ecosystem in the last 2.5 years. Recently, one of our customers told us how she used Jio's mobile broadband to set up her own beauty parlor. She downloaded all the training videos from the internet. She used e-commerce to buy all the materials, and she used social media to advertise. And today, she is a first-generation entrepreneur with a thriving business in a small town in India. Like I said before, we can create millions of such startups across India. Second is financial inclusion. Thanks to demonetization, India has taken a big leap forward from a predominantly cash economy to a digitally enabled optimal cash economy. It has brought unproductive money into productive use. So far, credit in our country has been high value and low volume, available only to a few people. In the coming years, based on your Aadhaar identity and based on big data about your behavior, which can be analyzed digitally, it will be possible to get a loan on your mobile in just a few minutes. Digital enablement has laid the groundwork for broad availability of low value, high volume credit. This credit will be low interest rate and will be available anytime. Our debt-ridden marginal farmers, our self-employed roadside vendors, our housemates wanting urgent credit for their children's education, for a medical emergency, will be liberated from the clutches of extortionist money lenders. And the biggest beneficiary of this technology will always be the common man. Add to this the grandma-friendly applications like Bheem and a powerful platform like UPI, India and Indians will show the world how technology can bring about financial and credit transformation in a large economy. The third is education. India can overcome the challenge of educational infrastructure by digitally delivering high-quality education to schools, colleges, and universities across the country. This has the potential to create several new job opportunities. We have to equip our children to be digitally savvy right from school so that we can lay the foundation for a sustained leadership in the digital age for India. Through Jio, we are providing broadband connectivity to all the 58,000 colleges and will connect 1.9 million schools across India. These institutions collectively provide education to nearly 200 million children, and all this can be done in less than 2 years. That is the opportunity and the pace of change that is possible in India. Once this is done, we will have one of the most digitally enabled education systems in the world. Fourth, take the challenge of providing affording housing to millions of Indians. Today, innovations in new materials, 3D manufacturing techniques, and modular construction methods allow us to rapidly and cost-effectively build mass and smart housing for all our citizens. This will help build houses in half the time and half the cost. This will make the quality of life of our citizens better across the nation while conserving valuable natural resources. Fifth is healthcare. Healthcare is another area where India can be a global leader on the back of digital technologies. India can considerably overcome the deficit of physical infrastructure of hospitals and doctors by universalizing telemedicine, teleradiology, e-diagnostics, genomics, and other cost-effective technology solutions. This can bring about high-quality healthcare to all our people in affordable ways across the country and in even remote locations. And finally, agriculture. In agriculture, India has the opportunity to create wealth and new knowledge, livelihood opportunities in rural areas by encouraging adoption of technologies for water conservation, soil management, precision farming to enhance agricultural productivity. I am sure that if you combine technology tools with real-time information, a second green revolution is possible that will be the digital green revolution. Friends, as we enter the digital age, we must also remember that data and information is power. And information in digital form can travel across the globe in a fraction of a second at negligible cost. If the benefits of the Indian technology revolution are to be fully captured by India and Indians, we need safeguards to ensure that most of the information generated in India remains within Indian borders. Apart from the obvious national security and sovereignty conditions, pragmatic economic considerations too argue for such safeguards. Keeping Indian data on shore will ensure that talent, technology, know-how and investment will flow into India rather than out of India and will create more jobs in India. So like Digital India and Make in India, we need a Keep in India initiative to keep Indian data within India. This in turn will ensure that India develops the human capital and knowledge assets that allow it to retain its leadership positions for generations to come. Friends, I can go on and on giving many examples of how we can embrace new technologies to solve previously unresolved problems. Technology is, after all, just a tool, and all tools need a purpose. We have to remember that the purpose of technology is to solve unsolved problems of society and to provide equal opportunities for the man on the street. I would take a couple of minutes and narrate a story that I tell our young people that I recently mentioned at the NASSCOM event. There was the techie, a PhD, and a Gujarati traveling together. And the PhD and techie will always want to know how smart they are. So he asks the Gujarati common man, "Chalo, let's play a game." So this guy looks bewildered and says, "So what's the game?" So he says, "You ask me one question, and I will ask you one question, and we will decide who will pay what money to each other." So the techie in his arrogance says, because I am a PhD and all, for every question that I don't know, I'll pay you 100 rupees. And because he asked him his degree, he said, I'm just an ordinary graduate. So he said, okay, you pay me 10 rupees. So the Guju says, okay, you start first. So the techie starts off by saying, okay, tell me the distance between the sun and Mars. The Guju doesn't even blink an eyelid, says, I don't know, and gives him 10 rupees. Now it's the Guju's turn. So the Guju asks the techie, okay, tell me an animal that climbs a mountain with 4 legs and climbs down with 3 legs. So the techie is really doesn't know the answer. He Googles and he calls and he does everything that he can, but he's really not able to figure out the answer. He feels very embarrassed. He tries his best. In the end says, okay, 100 rupees to the Guju. And the Guju accepts that 100 rupees and relaxes. And now the techie is even more upset in terms of saying, look, I am really a PhD. I am a curious guy. I really need to understand, right? So I need to know the answer. So he shakes this guy up and says, come on now, you tell me what the answer is, because at the end of the day, I am a techie and all that. I need to know the answer. I can't take a defeat. So the Guju quietly takes another 10 rupees and gives it back to him and says, I don't know. So what does that mean? Smart is one thing. Street smart is something else altogether. We have to combine global technology with Indian street smartness, and that's an unbeatable combination. We cannot be arrogant about technology. It has to always serve the common man. And we also have to learn from the common man. Ladies and gentlemen, in 30 years, India will celebrate its 100th year of independence. In these 30 years, we can and must aspire to grow from a $2.5 trillion economy to a $40 trillion economy. This will make us amongst the most prosperous nations in the world. Most importantly, we have to do this in an inclusive, equitable, and ecologically sustainable manner. Seizing the opportunity given to us by the fourth industrial revolution gives us this chance. As a nation, we must rise to this occasion. People often ask me if India is a poor country. And I believe that denial of opportunity is real impoverishment. We should not allow any Indians to suffer from that poverty. Collectively, let us commit ourselves today to work together in partnership to provide opportunities for each and every Indian. And as I said at the beginning of my address, India today is exciting and challenging, but India tomorrow will be fulfilling and game-changing. I wish each and every one of you and your families the very best. We are today an unstoppable nation, an unstoppable India, and may God bless us all as we look towards a very exciting future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mukesh. Please come here. Please give him another round of applause for this. Please, sir. A few questions we don't know. Wow, that was a blueprint. Not just of technology and the future, but of the development of the country itself. And while I was listening to you, I was wondering, rather than run Reliance Industries, have you ever thought of running the country? Ever becoming a politician?
No, I think that there are many things that we can do in different sectors, and I'm a big believer in terms of executing so that benefits come to millions and millions of people.
And you don't think politics could be a vehicle for what you...
I don't think that's my strength.
But coming to, when you talked of technology, you also mentioned the people factor, the human interface. And one of the key things in that is, you had mentioned the leaders that drive this. Today, we have across the world President Trump, and we were just discussing this in the previous session, and experts say that he would do what they call the 3Ds. Disengage, which is to not get the US involved in a lot of the wars and be more insular. Deglobalize, he'd like to break all the trade treaties and sort of make sure that they're bilateral, that's happening. And of course, disrupt on this. I was surprised when you mentioned the NASSCOM speech, you actually welcomed Trump's entry into politics and leadership. And you said this would benefit India. Why, what is the reasons you feel that such a disruptive regime that is going to change the way the world order is, would still make a difference and we could benefit from it here?
Well, as I explained, Raj, and if you followed my talk, right, I think that we are really at the beginning in human history of this fourth industrial revolution. And this is the first technology-based revolution that will affect all of us as human beings. And some of our brightest people are working outside the country. And by whatever fate, if they are brought back to this country and they work for our country, they work for 1.3 billion Indians, and they work to improve their lives and put together a new developmental model, there cannot be a better blessing in disguise. All things happen in the world at the right time and the right place. So it's high time that our brightest and best work for the benefit of India and Indians.
So you see a reverse brain drain coming right back
Without doubt. I mean, I get at Reliance, like from across the world, right? We have Indians returning back, and we bring very talented people. And I can tell you, we at least bring 2 or 3 leaders now every month. And we have more knocking on our doors, because at the end of the day, har ek ka dil hai Hindustani. People want to do things for India. We have to give them an opportunity.
You had also mentioned Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he's just had a famous victory in Uttar Pradesh. And you'd also talked about how he's, his plans for the new India that's there. What would you like Prime Minister Modi to do if there are 3 or 4 things to reinvigorate the economy? Because after all, the 4th D was demonetization. Though you say it brought financial inclusion, it also held up business in some senses. There was a drop in the GDP growth. What would you want Prime Minister Modi to do in the next couple of months, now that he has a complete backing of the people and support for what he did?
Well, I think that the challenge for us is execution. I think that we are blessed to have a leader who understands not only the people, but who understands the world and who understands technology. Right? What impressed me the most is when we first visited the US, right? And at that time, President Obama was in power in terms of that, and we were friends of mine from the White House mentioned that Prime Minister Modi and President Obama, their first meeting was over dinner, and the only thing that, and these were colleagues of mine, like, and I had studied with them, but working in the White House, who said they were impressed that the only world leader who talked about how technology can benefit the poor. And the whole dinner was on how technology can benefit the poor, can develop a country. I think that the blueprint is laid out. It's all about execution. And, this generation is impatient. And I am sure that with good execution, we will exceed the expectations of the generation that is there today in India.
I think you pinpointed the key, which is delivery. And part of it is the bureaucratic roadblocks that come and an inability to execute much of these grand schemes that the Prime Minister has. What would you say needs to be done to remove these roadblocks?
Well, I think that we are, the best way to think about, and I've always believed in this, that when you focus on your goal, you overcome all obstacles. When you focus on the obstacle, you will never reach your goal. And if we think that bureaucracy is an obstacle, right, technology is the best way to overcome this. So to my mind, with the e-governance pieces that we are seeing, with what we are seeing on Geo, in terms of how do you actually create transparency to citizens and how can you serve them. Once you put that, the movement of the people, right, will overcome this, that they will force us to change our systems. And frankly, from what I see, rather than conferences like this, what I see on the ground level is that this is happening at a much faster rate than all of us are imagining. And we are still living in our past experiences. The India of today is changing and changing very fast. And, every state is measuring ease of doing business and everybody wants to come up in rank. So things are happening, and this pace will only accelerate, Raj.
You'd mentioned ease of doing business and also a bit of the reform process, if you can. What needs to be done? Because you deal with them at a great, at a great level. What are the 3 or 4 things that you would say that, in terms of reforms, you would like to see, and ease of doing business? What are the things that they need to do?
Well, from my point of view, I am a no excuses guy. So, I don't think, I think that if you get your eyes focused, you can achieve most things, and you shouldn't say that because so-and-so is not doing that, you would not, and I really think that what is important, as I said, is delivery and execution, right? I also think that it's very important to plan, right? So, and I'm a big believer in Abraham Lincoln's framework that if you want to fell a tree, and if you have 8 hours to do it, you should spend 6 hours in terms of polishing your saw and then execute flawlessly. I think that as far as India is concerned, right, we have a historic opportunity in front of us. We just need to deliver without excuses. We just need to get out of that old mindset that आप ये 3-4 चीज पहले करो उसके बाद मैं सोचता हूँ. We just have to get on with it and get started, and that's what this next generation is all about.
And since you talked about the next generation, I'm told it was your daughter that inspired you to kick off Jio, because she came back from university and came back to India and she said, Dad, this whole internet sucks. And was that the motivation that pushed you to launch Jio, or was it hard business?
No, that's a true story. She opened our eyes to the opportunities, and today, right, I think that in a sense, when you connect everybody in the country, we see how transformational it is. So it is a true story. I have to thank her for opening our eyes in 2011.
And now, and now that you've launched Jio, does she still say it sucks, or is she fine with it at home?
She's launched Jio herself, so she can never say it sucks. If it sucks, you better improve it.
But coming to a question in terms of innovation that you talked about, and Nandan Nilekani was talking about how, when he talked of the flat world, but now he's moved on to a different thing, what you're talking of data and the influence and the data power. He says the entire society has moved, or the way it was, from manufacturing to the consumer. The consumer is now the king. Earlier, it was the manufacturer who made something and done. How is that going to change, where the consumer is now in control? If you go, you can take a taxi, you can take an Ola and do it, and you can track everything and know where it is. He can now decide a whole lot of, and the choices have expanded. How is that going to change your business plans?
Well, Raj, in fact, it strengthens our business plan. As I said in my talk, that this is the first time, or this is a technology revolution that is human-centric. Right? If you look at all our first 3 technology revolutions, the first created machines, made them like we could distribute that and all of this. Now this is really focused on all of us as human beings. And my own view is that it reinvents like how we live and have life. So fundamentally, and within that there are many, many unsolved problems that each one of us face, and we have the opportunity to solve them. And I think that India, with its 1.3 billion people, right? We have the biggest diversity. This is the canvas on which all the talent can actually paint and prosper. And that is why this is the biggest opportunity. And that's why I am a firm believer that the young Indians, right, will make us proud, will take advantage that we missed the 3 technology revolutions, but this 4th revolution, which actually redefines how human beings will become better, right? We should lead this, and once we prove this in India, we can take it to the rest of the world. And that really should be our aspiration.
Just a few personal questions. One is, you've done so much. Is there a hunger to do anything more? Is there, something else that you'd like to do apart from what you've just done? And if it is, what would that be?
Well, until my father brought me into Reliance, right, I was pretty sure that I wanted to study in a US university, hopefully at least for a little bit of time, either work at the World Bank or teach as a professor. So with my wife being a teacher, right, she's now saying that it's high time that you teach. So both of us will be involved in education in the coming years. That's something that we want to do more for our own satisfaction than anything else.
Which comes to the last question, is that how much more money do you want? Or what does money mean to you?
Nothing really. And, I think that, and my father said it very well. He used to always tell me that if you start anything, right, and you start a business, you start anything just to make money, right, you will, I mean, in his words, and he was pretty blunt, so he used to say, you're a fool, because you will never make any money and you will not be a billionaire. कोई भी कोई काम to become a billionaire नहीं करता है. If you start with a purpose, and if your purpose is that you want to be the best in the world, you want to do what nobody else has done, then this is a byproduct. And that byproduct should never be important, right? All of us, and he used to say this, that all of us eat the same dal roti, and if you think that this is important, you will never get it. So always chase your purpose, always have a purpose in life in terms of saying that what you want to do, what you want to be the best at, what you want to be passionate about. And he's always taught me in terms of saying that yes, dreams are something that you don't have when you sleep. Your dreams should keep you awake and should, if you think about it again and again, right, you will convert those dreams into passion. And if you're passionate about something, that will define your own purpose. And all of this money and wealth and all that, the day you start taking that seriously, they will disappear. And I still value that advice, and that's what I follow.
Thank you, Mukesh. Let's give him a huge round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mukesh Ambani. May I invite on stage Mr. Shailesh Dalmia of the NL Dalmia Institute of Management Studies and Research. Mr. Mukesh Ambani, he would just like to present to you a small token of our thanks and appreciation for your time. Mr. Dalmia. Let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our chief guest of the afternoon. Thank you so much once again.